Hello there. I'm preparing a video that will demonstrate a tutorial on how to recover data from an iPhone 6 when you do not have access to supposedly all the iCloud data and or the data on the phone. The way we'll demonstrate this is by completely wiping the phone and then attempting to recover the data that's been lost to make sure it's accessible and has all its integrity. Now, this is obviously being done to I guess, discuss what's happening with the FBI Apple issue in the news. And I want to be clear, I have nothing against law enforcement, FBI. I have nothing against Apple. I'm really kind of neutral on this stance. However, what is bothering me is that what I'm seeing in the papers doesn't seem to be being explained correctly and or all the facts aren't out there. So again, the point of this isn't to do anything other than show technically what can be done and give empirical evidence that the data can be recovered from the phone. And in a subsequent part 2, we will demonstrate that just because the password gets changed on an iCloud account, that the iCloud data is still there. So here we go. In this step, I'm going to enable the auto erase feature. So I'm enabling this. So if I have 10 incorrect password guesses, this phone will essentially erase its own data. Here I'm going to demonstrate that I do know the password to this phone, and then I can log in at any time I want. And as such, you can see I do know the password and can get into the phone. I have not done a current sync to the iCloud, so I'm demonstrating on this phone that I have 5 gigabytes of total storage, but only 61.7 megabytes stored onto the iCloud. And here what I'm showing is that out of the entire gigabytes available, I have used 32.8. So if I delete the data on this phone, that is the amount of data I should expect to recover if I get everything back. I want to draw your attention to the Encrypt iPhone Backup. This is a feature that will essentially encrypt anything that's backed up if you choose to do so. If this was enabled on the San Bernardino phone, then the data would not have been accessible because it would be restored encrypted anyway. So in this instance, we're going to leave it unencrypted and assume that is the case on the phone so that if and when the FBI accesses that phone, they'll be able to access the data free and clear of any encryption restrictions. I also want to point out that by doing a restore backup, if you have the Find My Phone feature enabled, it will not work. So if that was on the San Bernardino phone, there's no way that the iCloud data could be restored from a backup in theory anyway. So we're going to pretend that the Find My Phone feature is disabled, and I will do so momentarily. As you can see, the Find My Phone feature is enabled, so I'm going to disable this so that I can use the restore feature. I'll need to enter the password here, so I'll set this down and do so. And as you now can see, I have disabled the Find My Phone feature. I am demonstrating the need to turn off the Find My Phone feature because if you try to restore from a backup and the Find My Phone feature is enabled, it will not allow you to do so. In this instance, you can see I have my last backup at 11:21 a.m. So I will essentially begin the process of deleting data from this phone, and then I will attempt to do a reformat and recover, doing so from the backup not only on the computer, but I will also do it using software that will recover the data in the absence of having any type of accessible backup via iTunes or an iCloud. What I'm now going to do is restore the iPhone to the essentially factory settings. So the phone at hand right here will lose all data currently on it, and then we will attempt to recover it. So here we go. And we are now getting ready to wipe the phone. Okay, just an update that the iTunes is preparing the restore. That's what's happening now. So in a moment, this phone will essentially be reset to factory settings, and I'll demonstrate that there's no data that was previously there apparently on the phone. Okay, the phone is getting ready to come back to life here. We're waiting on the iPhone, so the process is continuing. We'll revisit this in a moment. Okay, at this point, I can set up as a new phone or restore from a backup. What I'm going to do is demonstrate that on this phone, we are just going to essentially go from scratch and not do any type of backup whatsoever. This might get a little sloppy as I've got to change hands here. Okay, enable location services. We can set up the Touch ID later. Continue. And we'll create a passcode here. And remember, we're doing this from scratch now, so it's not like we have to know any previous passwords. I'm just choosing to select the one that I'm used to. You don't have to, though. So we're not going to do any type of restore whatsoever. This is where the FBI or anyone could restore from the cloud backups that they have, but I'm just going to set this up as a new phone. My Apple ID. Okay, we're just going to set this up later in settings, so we won't worry about that right now. And we'll accept all the terms and conditions. Turn on Siri later. And we won't worry about any diagnostics to Apple. They have enough on their plate right now. We'll go ahead and use the standard view. And so many settings. Let's get started. So to demonstrate that I have in fact wiped this, I have no photos or videos on the phone right now. Let's see, messages. There's no messages stored. Let's take a look at the call history. Recent. There's nothing there. So essentially this phone is an empty slate. So let's not panic. Let's see if we can't recover the data. Okay, now this is the part that has me angry. What we're going to do now is demonstrate that irregardless of the iCloud data that has been stored, we can recover data from this phone, which we've now demonstrated to be reformatted and no data appears to be readily accessible. Because I want to do this in real time and no one will be able to say I simulated or staged anything, I am only going to do the voicemails. You can see we can recover photos, memos, contacts, all types of things, but we are just going to do the voicemail here. And as I recall, I believe there were about 34, 35 voicemails that were on that phone. So let's go ahead and start this process. Again, I apologize for a little bit of a delay, but it's important to show this without any editing whatsoever. So we are recovering the voicemail. Now we are starting to see some progress here as it goes through the phone. It's scanning. And as you can see, we have now recovered 35 voicemails from that phone. These are all accessible once they're restored. So what I'm going to do is recover these to a drive, and then we'll go back and we'll listen to some to show that the data isn't just restored, but it's also it has its integrity and is available for listening in this case. Now I'm going to choose to recover these to the Mac as opposed to the phone. I don't have any reason to put this back on. We can do a complete restore at another time. So we'll recover these and we'll just put these into the directory that you see here, and we'll access that in a moment. Okay, so we're going to show that the data we saved is in this voicemail directory, and there are exactly what appears to be 35 voicemails that have been recovered, and we'll just select one just to prove that we can listen to it. Not sure what I'm going to get here, but
hey Sean, it's
all right, that's someone.
It is just past 11 a.m.
And you can see that they are audible, and I can listen to whatever I want to. Now I'm going to stop that because I don't want to put anybody's privacy information out there. But look at the dates. This is everything that was on that phone up until yesterday. I don't think I had any voicemails today. So I've proven that you can, regardless of anything on the iCloud, recover the data on a phone after erasing it, reformatting it, and then recovering it. So again, while I have no bone to pick with the FBI, law enforcement, or anyone, I very much respect what they do. I just don't understand their request for Apple and why they're not taking this route to recover the data. As you see, I have been able to do so using this process and everything that's been demonstrated in this video. So thank you for watching. Okay, now what we're going to do is simulate the supposed issue of what happens when the password is changed in the iCloud. Now, I'm not working with Apple to make the change. I'm making the change myself. I have done this in the past where they have actually lifted the iCloud authentication. In this case, we're just going to change the password. So I'm changing the iCloud password. And that is done. Now, let's see if we can't do a restore from the iCloud. And now we're going to log into our iCloud account with the changed password. And we're doing this to demonstrate that it does not change the available iCloud backup just because you decide to change password. So this is going to take a moment. I've got a lot of contacts, but this is what we're taking a look at. These are the contacts last backed up into the iCloud. If this is done correctly, I think Shweb Ali will be one of the contacts I had from that previous backup. So just bear with. Again, I know some of this isn't exciting, but it's important to show that we're not doing anything or staging anything, that this is all being done in real time. And there we go. There's Mr. Ali and other contacts. For privacy reasons, I won't bring up their phone information, but we'll take Apple as an example. And there's some folks that are over there real quick. So you can see there, that's, I guess, fair game. The data's there, irregardless of changing the password. You can still access everything in the cloud to the most current backup. Nothing gets deleted just because you change the password. So I'll stop this section for now. Now, I realize that this may be overly technical for some people, but for those that understand it or get the general gist of it, I think credibility is the important thing here. I have worked unofficially with the FBI on some cases previously, and I do have documentation to back that up because I know there's a lot of kooks out there. I'm certainly not one of them. Nerdy, but not a kook. And I think it's just important to get the facts out there. Again, I'm not making any type of statement. I'm simply showing technically what can be done. And while I doubt anybody will probably ever see this video, I am certainly willing to help law enforcement, FBI, Apple, or anyone if for some unbelievable reason they don't seem to have the capability that I have. So thank you for watching, and all the best.